Welcome to
The Dark Files. I'm Emily Sweaters.
And I'm Casey Cardigan. Or Casey Fleece Pullover because it's so soft.
It's very soft. That's a great pullover.
Yeah.
So, today.
Yes, Emily, today.
I'm going to talk about DARE.
The drug program?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Wait, before we get started on that, for those of you that have been waiting and waiting and waiting.
Oh, yeah, we should say that.
Tonight, just about 5 minutes ago, Emily and I did a McRib tasting. Went to McDonald's, got a McRib, got some McFlurries, and we tasted it. So I'm going to insert the clip of us eating it now. Maybe? Should I put it now or should I just have a whole... I mean, it was only like 2 minutes.
Whatever.
I'll put it in. Okay, guys. So enjoy this video, or not video, enjoy this recording of us eating a McRib. All right, here we are. Emily and I are about to try the McRib. I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do it.
We only ordered one and cut it in half. Because it's likely Casey won't like it.
It's like almost guaranteed. Also, my sweatshirt is look how huge this is, but it's so soft. Feel it.
Oh, that is soft.
I got it for Christmas.
Okay, so we have our napkins. We have our claws, our McFlurries.
Yeah, I had to get a McFlurry after I was like, I want one. Do you want me to? Yeah, I'm like, this is to cover the taste.
Okay.
And I have a water on standby.
For those of you who may not have listened, we're doing this because I covered the McRib in one of our earlier episodes. And the McRib is a limited menu item, so it's only around for short chunks of time, and McDonald's doesn't really like have a rhyme or reason, just like randomly appears on the menu. So we are blessed to have a McRib.
I wouldn't say blessed.
Okay, so should we like... So the McRib has a beef patty. No, it's pork.
Restructured meat.
Restructured meat patty, pickles, onions, and lots of barbecue sauce. All right.
I don't even know. My pickle's falling off.
That's
whatever.
Okay. 3, 2,
Wish me luck, everyone.
1. What do you think?
I don't love it.
You hate it?
I don't hate it as much as I thought I was going to hate it. But I didn't get any pickle or onion. I really actually don't love it.
You don't love it?
No, it feels very weird in my mouth. But I don't hate it. I thought I was going to vomit.
Yeah. We didn't vomit. I think it's decent.
I'm actually moist in my mouth. I really don't like it. That's what she said. I don't love that.
My only critique is that they like smother it in barbecue sauce. They could do a little less barbecue sauce.
I don't think it's the barbecue sauce. Sorry, guys. That was a very incoherent thought. I think I don't like the meat.
What is restructured?
I don't know. I did it. I tried to. But
She
if
did
you look
it.
at my bite, look how little my bite was.
Oh, that is a little bite.
I don't want it. I did it. I did it.
Casey did it.
I did it. Woo! I crushed it.
Yay.
Okay, now everyone can say
Casey
they
ate a
saw me eat a McRib. Now I'm gonna eat something really delicious, which is an M&M McFlurry.
I got an Oreo McFlurry. We should just do a video where we eat McDonald's food.
I would absolutely like every day of my life.
Okay, well, thanks, fans. Bye.
Bye, guys. Go get a McRib. Or not. I really don't, actually. All right, guys. We are back. Hopefully you enjoyed our tasting. It was rather disgusting.
It wouldn't be my first thing I'd order at McDonald's. But
Would it be the second thing you would order at McDonald's?
No.
No.
First would be a 10-piece chicken nugget.
No.
Second would be probably like a hamburger, Big Mac. Big Macs. I like a Big Mac. It'd probably be like, it's at the bottom.
The very bottom. And I don't get who liked that. But whatever, to each his
Many
own.
people like it.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't like it.
I think if you're like super into barbecue sauce, you probably like it.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm not a huge barbecue sauce person.
All right, guys. So you listened. We ate the McRib. Now we are back. And Emily's already cracked her claw.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and crack my claw to get this taste of that McRib out of my mouth. So crack that claw.
I wish my nickname was McRib.
We can start that. Who says we can't?
Call me McRib.
McRib.
My name is Emily, but I go by McRib.
Were you still Scully in my phone?
I know.
But anyway. All right, Emily, what do you got? You got the DARE?
Yes. So we're doing with the DARE program. And you might be thinking, okay, why is the DARE program a dark file?
I am thinking that.
Quite simply because it never worked.
I have seen that research.
Have you?
I'm
school
pretty
counselor?
sure we still do DARE.
Do you really?
I think. Yeah, we have a DARE graduation and everything.
So I'll get into this later, but they've revamped it. Most places call it keeping it real. Does that sound familiar?
No, I think it's DARE.
It's still DARE?
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. And not in a good way. Okay, so...
Oh, maybe I'll take this podcast episode as evidence and send it to the school.
Take it to your homies and let them know what I think. Okay, so DARE stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. DARE.
Yeah, I dare you to say no to drugs.
Yeah. And I'd say most of our listeners probably had DARE at some point in their lives.
Probably.
My school, we did DARE in the 5th grade.
That's when the school that I am employed at does it.
Really? And I will tell you a story
Okay.
that I have never forgotten, and I've always been pissed about.
Okay.
Okay, so Emily, little 5th grade Emily was ahead of her time. She was pretty progressive and had some big ideas about the world.
Oh, God.
And so
I know 29-year-old Emily. I can't even imagine what 5th grade Emily.
So we had this
thinking,
and I think most places have like some version. Most schools and DARE programs do some version of this. But so we did the whole DARE thing, and at the end of the year, you wrote an essay about like what you learned throughout the year.
Yeah, we definitely have DARE because the kids definitely do
That's
that.
crazy.
Sorry, guys, I just took off my shoes.
So we wrote this essay, and whoever we had 3 like 5th grade classes, and they picked a winner from each class, and the 3 winners got stuffed Darren, who is the DARE mascot. He's a lion.
His name is Darren.
Yeah. Stuffed Darrens. Okay.
God, I have a feeling this is going to be with you losing and something.
I did. That's exactly what it's about. So in my essay, I wrote, quote,
Okay.
doing drugs is bad most of the time. And they told me that was the whole point of DARE, is that doing drugs is always bad.
Well, yeah. 5th grade Emily, you can't write doing drugs is bad most of the time.
I was right.
Well, that doesn't matter. That's not the whole point of the program.
But I was so fucking pissed because I wanted that Darren. I wrote a very eloquent essay about drug policy and
in 5th grade?
No, I just said yeah, it's bad most of the time. Like,
well, what was your stipulation in your essay? That
I
said
don't
it was
really
good?
remember, but I remember thinking like, okay, if somebody smokes a cigarette or if somebody drinks a beer, they're not a bad person.
Yeah, that's because most of the music you were listening to, all the guys were drinking beer and smoking cigarettes.
Probably true. But yeah, so, and I know like at our place, at our school, we'd have like a pizza party and the officer would come in, you know, it was like the whole thing when you graduated DARE. So.
5th grade Emily.
Yeah.
Should I buy you a lion and put the DARE?
DARE?
Okay, when a police officer comes to school for DARE, well, if they even come in person this year,
yeah,
I'm gonna ask them for a lion for you.
His name's Darren, and he wears a little black DARE t-shirt.
Oh, I know the t-shirt. I know exactly what the lion looks like because we have him at school. I will say, and I might say it again once you get started, but we do have DARE. I'm pretty sure, like 95% sure. But I don't sit in any of the lessons, so I can't claim. I'm not going to claim that I know what they teach.
Right.
But I do know that the police officers, and I think a lot of people, whether or not it's the DARE program, think it's important to build relationships with the police and school and kids in the community.
I think DARE, they had like a lot of things right, like they had good intentions and all that good stuff, but the data, it just didn't work.
Oh yeah, it shows that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's get into it, guys.
Let's hear about it. Okay, so DARE was founded in 1983 by the LAPD. So it started in Los Angeles with the intention of educating children on the negative consequences of drug use.
Great.
Okay. So DARE started out with good intentions, but over time, research would show that it was actually really ineffective at lowering drug abuse among young people. So the whole model of DARE is each school, so if a school was participating in DARE, they would partner with the local police department.
Mm-hmm.
And they would send an officer into schools to teach the kids about the dangers of drugs and teach them how to just say no.
Yeah.
So Just Say No was a campaign pioneered by Nancy Reagan.
Yeah.
She was an idiot. And
that'd be some fine words, Emily. There's going to be some people that listen to this that are going to definitely unfollow us.
Political beliefs aside, telling people to just say no to drugs is really stupid.
Okay, tell us why.
I will be happy to tell you why.
Okay.
So, first of all, during the 80s, there was the big crack epidemic, right? That's when, and it was mostly affecting minorities and lower socioeconomic status neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell, you have this young, lower socioeconomic status population of kids, right? And you tell them, just say no. Well, that's just not their reality.
Right.
Like, that might be how their family is surviving, or they might have family members really entrenched in it. It's not always just simple as just saying no.
Right. Because if you say no, that could lead to consequences for you at your home. Yeah.
So I think most people in this who are listening have been in a situation when they were teenagers or somebody offered them a cigarette or a drink or drugs. And even in like the social pressure, it's also very hard to just say no.
Right.
Like, and teenage brains aren't developed.
Correct.
And it is really hard for them to make like executive critical decisions. And so if you, like, I remember the first time I drank, I was 16, really got drunk, I was 16, and I'm not saying no, like, I wanted to do it. It was, like, a fun thing my friends were doing.
Yeah.
And even though I knew the consequences, I took DARE, I knew the consequences of drinking, I still did it.
Yeah.
And I think, like, that's why there's also research that shows those, like, scare tactics. Smoking commercials don't work. Because, like, you remember that one where that woman had, like, really bad, like, she had, like, a trach, and she was, like, I smoke a pack a day.
See, they might not have worked for other people. They worked for me because I did not ever want to be that person.
Kids don't care.
I cared.
Okay, well, you're in the minority.
I know, I'm the straight.
You're the outlier.
I know.
But, so it just doesn't work.
But then you also add those kids that have had trauma, which impacts their executive functioning as well.
And for many kids and adults, drugs and alcohol, unfortunately, serve a function of, like, escape or avoidance.
Yeah. Or just make you feel nice and comfy.
Like this White Claw.
Yeah.
But, so, I just think that just say no, first of all, we know it didn't work, and it was very patronizing, I think, to who they were really targeting. They were targeting these, often, like, racial minorities, like, just so you know, and, like, it's just, like, a very, like, white privilege thing, I think.
Yeah, to be like, you can just say no.
I just don't, it just doesn't work. But that's what the model DARE was founded on, was teaching children just say no to drugs. Okay. So,
just say no, Emily.
I've never said no. just say yes.
Just say yes.
I'm totally kidding. I'm against illicit drug use within reason. Like, I'm not a proponent of meth or heroin. Yeah, that kind of shit.
I'm glad to know that you're not a proponent of those.
But, like, and another thing that's I'll get into a little bit is that it was very heavily focused on weed.
Yeah, when can be medicinal.
And that's, like, the least dangerous drug.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, in my opinion, it's less dangerous than alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
And cigarettes.
Yeah.
So.
I've never met a stoned person that would, like,
murder you.
Yeah. Well, maybe they would murder you when they weren't stoned, but, like, they're usually pretty chill.
Yeah. People aren't violent when they... And they're typically...
Or they're lazy, they fall asleep.
Yeah. So...
They'll eat.
The DARE model was mostly lecture-based with PowerPoint presentations, handouts, and some interactive interactive exercises with students. So I remember we did one where it was like, pretend like you're at a party and you offer Casey a beer.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
God,
I was
don't remember
enthralled because I remember thinking this shit is whack.
anything. I don't remember any of that.
But, like, they'd be like, you know, they...
Wait, maybe that's because in 5th grade I was in Catholic school.
I was too.
Yeah, but I wonder if my school didn't do it.
Maybe.
I don't remember. Anyway, sorry, guys. Trip down memory lane for Casey that led nowhere.
So at the end of the year, so most DARE programs were about 10 to 12 weeks. And the officer would come in once a week with lessons. And at the end, there would be a graduation like we talked about. And then, so yeah, we had DARE in the 5th grade. Okay. Nobody, and I may have lived a sheltered life, I'll admit to that. Nobody offered me drug, alcohol, cigarette until I was at least a sophomore, but maybe between sophomore and junior year of high school. So they tend to teach it in middle school, like early middle school. But when for most people, this really doesn't become a reality until you're a little older.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure other people have different
I would say like
experiences.
7th, well, not mine, but I'm like a whole different bird. Like 7th and 8th grade, I feel like would probably be.
And I did go...
Because 5th grade, I think is...
Isn't that really young?
Yeah.
I mean, I had a very sheltered life. I went to a Catholic school. So I'm sure other people's experiences are different, but I still feel like 5th grade is way ahead of the curve. Like, no, but like, I feel like you're way premature with that.
Yeah.
And like, if you're teaching it, because maybe other schools were different, but mine, it was 5th grade and that was it. We didn't do it again in 6th or 7th grade. It was just 5th grade.
I don't remember clearly.
Yeah. So, at its peak, DARE was present in 75% of American schools. That's
that's a lot.
There were some very 80s and 90s PSAs involved. So they'd play these groovy ads. One, which you should definitely look up on YouTube. It's like these two guys, and they're just like sitting and like hanging out, smoking weed, and talking about how they've smoked weed their whole lives. And they're like, yeah, nothing's really changed for me. And then you hear the mom say, and these are like middle-aged men, or like grown men. Their mom's like, Johnny. And he's like, yeah, Mom. And like the whole thing is like, yeah, nothing has changed because these guys smoke weed and are still living with their mom.
But now it's like totally normal for people to be living with their parents.
I know, because we're poor.
Yeah, shit. That's my plan, guys. 2021 is to be debt-free by the end of the year. No one let me buy things on needless shit. Spend money on needless stuff.
I will help you.
I don't know that you would, though.
No,
I think you would. If I was like, Emily, should I buy this? You'd be like, yeah.
Give me one too.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the content focused on marijuana. They talked a lot about marijuana being a gateway drug.
They say that a lot.
Which is actually not true. So if you look at the research, people who use like heroin, opiates, harder drugs, yes, it's likely they almost always start out using marijuana. However, it's like not all rhombuses are a square or whatever the hell that thing is.
Okay.
Not just because people who smoke weed doesn't mean they're gonna grow up and use heroin. They use like backwards like logic with it. So if somebody does use harder drugs, yes, it is likely that they started out smoking marijuana. However, the research does not show that marijuana is a gateway drug to harder drugs.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So they talk a lot about weed and how it's a gateway drug. So LAPD Chief of Police Daryl Gates helped to start the program.
Okay.
So he created DARE. And there was a really similar anti-drug program being used in LA schools called SMART. However, so SMART would have like the teachers or like the nurse teach the kids about drugs. DARE's spin was they put the police officers in the schools. So DARE was the first program to do anything like that. And Dr. Ruth Rich was LA County School District Education Specialist. And Daryl Gates, who was the guy, chief of police that helped founded it, they said that there was a gap between the classroom and the streets. So like
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't really a lot of interaction with the police and students and the schools, so they wanted to have a police officer presence in the schools, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
And they thought that hearing drug education from police officers who've, like, gone out and arrested people and, like, seen the effects of drugs firsthand would be more credible. And believable.
They've been listening to teachers all day. They're kind of tired of it.
Yeah. So if you hear, like, Miss Jones say, like, don't do drugs, that's not going to be as powerful as a cop saying,
don't do drugs.
Yeah, like, I busted up this meth house last week.
Yeah, that's definitely scarier.
Okay. Well, everybody fucking loved DARE.
Who's everybody?
Teachers, parents, kids, police officers.
The kids loved it?
Kids, politicians. Everybody loved it. It was very popular and very lucrative. Many politicians, remember this is the 80s, backed it because they were like, okay, if I am in support of DARE, I can be pro-cop, pro-kids, pro-schools, anti-drugs.
Yeah.
It's like a politician's wet dream, DARE.
They dare to dream. Wet dream.
They dare to dream. So, in 1986, the National Institute of Justice published its first independent review of DARE, which showed, so 1986, started in 83, that the program seemed to have good short-term results.
Okay.
So,
kids didn't go out and do drugs right after school.
Exactly. Well, as a result of the study, Congress passed the Drug-Free Schools and Communities Act of 1986, which set aside 10% of state grants to governors to use for police staff in school drug education programs. DARE pretty much being the only one of its kind.
Okay, I was wondering how they got funding.
Yeah, so really they got a lot of
Federal funding?
Federal funding. And so, however, so DARE continues to be popular because, again, it looks great on paper, right? However, by 1991, there were more than a dozen studies starting to show that DARE really had no measurable effect on reducing drug use.
Okay.
So
from the National Institute of Justice,
and like more,
them.
like more.
Oh, okay.
Like there were all kinds of different organizations and stuff doing research on this. So some studies suggest that DARE and similar programs have what they call the boomerang effect, where participants actually increase their drug use.
Because why?
They don't exactly know why, but it's like it's kind of like that forbidden fruit thing we talked about with the PMRC. Like if you're told you can't have something, it makes you kind of want it more.
Okay.
So if you like our DARE officer, his name was.
You remember?
I remember because
Emily. Oh my god, my memory between you and Kelly. I'm like, you make me feel like I didn't even have a childhood. You guys, Kelly can sing our elementary school fight song. And all these other songs, I'm like, I don't remember shit.
I remember our fight song.
What? How?
St. Henry, on St. Henry, come on, do your best.
That's your fight song?
Remember who you're fighting for, the good old SHS. Rah, rah, rah.
I love it. Great job.
Okay, thank you.
That should be your next karaoke song.
Yeah, his name was, okay, this is kind of funny. His name was Officer Cummins.
We're 12.
I was 12, and it was funny then, too. And I remember the most exciting day was Officer Cummins was up there, like, teaching us about drugs.
Was he hot?
No.
Oh.
Definitely not. And he got a call on his little walkie-talkie that there was an emergency. And he had,
dang!
He had to bounce in the middle of the lesson.
That is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that was really cool. Anyways. So
Officer Cummins,
so
thank you for your service.
Imagine that you're like kind of like a little like rebellious kid and this dorky cop comes in and is like, don't do drugs. You're going to be like, fuck you, buddy. I'm doing every drug now. Like,
yeah,
that rebellious, like, you're not going to tell me what to do kind of thing.
I get that.
So some studies showed that, like, it actually increased. So kids who went through DARE were more likely to use drugs than those who weren't. So
maybe that's it. Maybe I didn't go through DARE. And I never really used drugs.
Yeah, that's why. So we got two homies that are going to come in and save the day.
Okay.
Bill Hansen. And
Bill.
And Andy Johnson.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, this is not working. Like,
Who do they work for?
they worked for, I think they were, like, health researchers. I don't exactly
Gotcha.
know who they worked for. But they were like, okay, this isn't working. I think they might have worked for, like they did, like, something with public
It's
health.
okay if you don't know. I
don't know, but I did read it. I think they did
But
something.
give us a
like,
fake answer just to make it sound.
They worked for Disney World. They said this is not
Walt
good.
sent them to do the research. Yeah.
So they reached out to Dare, and they're like, look, we want to help you make this program more evidence-based.
Yeah. Love the evidence-based
We love
programs.
evidence-based. But Dare was like, now we're good.
It's like, no.
So, and this is in, like, the 90s when they tried to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
Dare really said no? They didn't want, like, any help?
So, the problem was, because, again, on paper, it sounds great.
Great. Yeah.
So many people believe that if you told kids, here are the bad things that could happen to you if you use drugs, it would be enough to get them to not try them. So,
But you're also, if you're teaching them at such a young age, they don't
Yes.
really fully
they're not
comprehend
gonna-
the long-term
because
effects.
I will tell you, when I was a little fifth grader learning about all this, I was a completely different person by the time somebody actually offered me a drug.
Fair. I'm a very big image person, so when I saw that lady with the trach, that did it for me. Or those, those plastic rings, like those 6-pack cans.
Oh, that killed the turtles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you see all those dead things, I just cut them up now. I'm like, I remember that shit. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
And I'm like, never, ever happening.
Human beings are not good at thinking about long-term effects.
Yeah. Look at our world.
Yeah, look at our world. We are very...
Look at Amazon. Amazon thrives on people not understanding long-term effects.
One time, I was throwing a party. This is when I still lived in Bellevue. I was throwing a party, and I went to Kroger and bought all this shit. And then I get home, and I realized I forgot to buy a lighter. And I wanted to, like, light candles, as I do. And I didn't want to go back to Kroger, which was about a mile from my house.
Yeah, not very far.
So I ordered one off that Amazon, like, quick thing. Amazon Now.
Oh, I still haven't used that.
It was, like, stupid.
How much did it
It
cost?
was, like, $20.
For a lighter?
Like a candle lighter, those big nice ones.
I know, but you could have just drove to
I know.
Kroger. It was literally 2 feet from your
I was
house.
so lazy. Anyways, so yes, I tell this to my patients all the time. We are like reward-based creatures.
Yeah, especially if you grew up with positive reinforcement.
Yes.
I thrive on positive reinforcement.
So if you, let's say that you are, let's use cigarettes for example. So short-term effects of cigarettes are, if you're a smoker, relieve stress, you're addicted to it, so it, will...
There's got to be, what's that, cortisol?
Yeah, cortisol. It'll stop your cravings. In social situations, you might feel like you look cool. Everybody else is smoking. You don't want to be left out. So when you're a little like teenager in high school and somebody offers you a cigarette, you're not thinking, if I smoke this in 50 years, I might die of lung cancer. No,
Yeah.
you're thinking, okay, in the here and now, this is what's relevant to me. So that's, I think, where Dare really missed the mark, is that they focused on long-term consequences, which are legit,
Right.
but it's not relevant to a young person.
Yeah.
And I can attest to that. Like, when when I make a decision, I'm not thinking about how it's going to impact me in 20 years.
Yeah, I don't think about that.
So,
Except when I bought my new roof.
yeah, the house doesn't count. I'm going to resell this place for $500,000.
And no one's going to buy it.
They can be Judy's neighbor.
They would not want to be Judy's
Okay,
neighbor.
when I got out of the car today, Judy's standing outside. She goes, "It's cold." I'm like,
Yeah,
yes,
it's January.
It is cold. Have a good day.
Bye, Judy. Sorry, keep going.
Good old Judy. Okay, so, so they failed to really acknowledge the realities of being a teenager with a developing brain, social power that drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes have. So, an ongoing battle between Dare and its critics forged on for years. So critics would present research and numbers showing that the students who go through these programs were just as likely to use drugs, and in some cases more likely to use them compared to those who didn't participate. Dare and its advocates often counter with anecdotal evidence.
The good old anecdotal evidence.
So, Johnny Skip from PS 113, he was offered
Is that the school from Hey Arnold?
PS118, I think,
Oh,
or
okay.
PS119.
Sorry.
But like they would just say, they would offer with that anecdotal evidence, which might be that leaves more of a mark on a person than hearing numbers. So if you hear that some kid from
you connect with that,
underprivileged home, grew up and didn't do drugs and went to college, that's gonna hook people emotionally than seeing stats. So then so DARE proponents, so people who were in favor of DARE, would sometimes claim that its critics were in cahoots with the cartel or like pro-drug. So if somebody was like criticizing DARE and its effectiveness, it would be like, well, you must.
You mean people blatantly lie about things to get what they want?
They do.
Wow.
So Glenn Levant, a former LAPD officer and DARE instructor, was quoted as saying, "Knocking DARE is like kicking your mother or saying that apple pie doesn't taste good."
Damn, I'm not the biggest fan of apple pie.
It's all right.
Yeah. Better than that McRib.
DARE became very American.
Oh, good God.
It is American to say no to drugs and to write this essay.
Fight the commies.
Get your lion and, fight the drug dealers. Like, it became like a very, yeah.
Yeah.
So, over the years, they still keep producing all this data saying it's not working. There was some good things, though, about DARE. So, they did do a really good, they did stuff about, gun safety, fires, fire alarms, stuff like that. So I remember I watched some PSAs for the gun safety in particular, and it was if you ever see a gun, don't touch it. Assume every gun you see is loaded. Even if you think it's a toy gun, don't ever pull the trigger, stuff like that. So that's good.
Yeah.
And then they talked about fire safety, checking fire alarms, stuff like that. There was also some data suggesting that short-term improvement in self-esteem was a result of DARE. And
why?
I guess going through a program and getting a medal and feeling accomplished, I could see that, but it didn't last very long. And then also in the short term, children displayed more negative opinions of drugs. So shortly after completing the program, yes, they were still carrying on the message.
Yeah.
But then that fades as they age.
And probably forget. If I went through this program, I don't even remember it.
Right. So DARE was a staple in many, many American schools between 1983 and 2009, and I guess still at Casey's school.
I truly think it. I need to text somebody and find out.
Yeah, find out. But in the early 2000s, DARE began to lose funding because they were finally oh yeah, this doesn't work. Look at our opioid crisis. Obviously, this shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
My ex-boyfriend, who is a heroin addict, he's in recovery, he's sober. He was a DARE graduate.
Well, look at that shit.
So,
there's some anecdotal evidence.
Evidence. So, our two homies from before that work at Walt Disney World.
They don't, guys. Nobody work at Walt.
Bill Hansen and Andy Johnson. So they finally, DARE was okay, let's hear it. So they worked with DARE to revamp the program.
Great.
And they move it away from a just say no to, and it's not really an anti-drug program anymore. It's a program that focuses on responsibility, accountability.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Communication, honesty, that kind of stuff. So I have their website pulled up now. It's called Real Prevention. And yeah, it's just it's more lessons about okay, if you're.
It's not called DARE.
It's not called DARE anymore. It's called keeping it real. Keeping it real, a DARE program or something. But REAL is an acronym, much like DARE. Refuse, explain, avoid, leave. So it gives kids options.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So refuse.
I'm full of excuses.
Yeah.
If I don't want to do something.
Yeah. So it acknowledges that it isn't always as simple as just saying no.
Because it's not.
Yeah. It's not for anybody.
There were so many times, okay, not I didn't really go to a ton of parties or whatever, but I would always use my mom as an excuse. I feel like my mom's not letting me do this. My mom would
kill me. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom. Yeah, I can't do that.
Well, and I know, I remember, being in DARE, they'd show you these PSAs where, somebody's at a party, they offer whatever, a joint, a cigarette, and they say no, and the person's come on, take it. That has never happened to me.
Yeah, no.
Where it's like you're at a party, they offer you something, and you're just like, "No, I'm good." Cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it's happened somewhere, but it was like, "Yeah, take this weed." Like
I think it's more of like, I've never had that happen. Or people have been like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Or like, why not?
Yeah. Be like, "Oh, you sure?" Look
But it's more of like the social pressure. You see people and you're like, well, I want to fit in.
Yeah.
I want to like have that bonding experience.
Definitely.
Whatever.
And I think I had a really good like group of friends in college and high school that they never, like, if they were doing something, because I had friends that messed around with drugs, but they never like, they never said, you got to do it. But yeah, you're right. Like the social pressure, like everybody else is doing it.
Meanwhile, in high school, Kelly and I were talking about this weekend. I had at my house SingStar parties, which was on the PS4, and you would love it, Emily. It's competition and karaoke. You sing and you follow the line. It's like, take on me. Like, you have to follow it. So you're singing it just like bobbing your head, and we just hung out in my mom's bar singing.
That does sound fun.
No alcohol was involved. Excited on my parents' part, probably.
Yeah.
They probably had alcohol.
So, I'm going to read to you.
Okay.
Just kind of like the curriculum of keeping it real and how it's
keeping it real.
How it's different than good old Dare. So, the program teaches youths to live drug-free lives by building on their existing cultural and communication strengths and the strengths of their families and communities. Using Keeping It Real, students learn how to recognize risk, value their perceptions and feelings, embrace their cultural values, and make choices that support them. The curriculum includes 10 sequential lessons to be taught in class over a 2 to 3 month period, 6 core elements, so communication and competence and ethnic variations thereof, narrative-based knowledge, different types of social norms, social learning of life skills, drug-resistant strategies, and local social context. So, like, it's very comprehensive.
Yeah.
And it's so much more, comprehensive than just saying no. So, it's actually really...
But what's wrong with just say no?
It's a fucking word.
It was
kidding. Actually, it's got a, like, different culture center version. So, there's one for Mexican Americans, and one for non-Latino, and, like, a multicultural version. So, I think that's cool. Because, again, it's a cultural thing, right? A lot of it depends on where you are, who you are, where you live, what kind of, like, stuff you're exposed to.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that is my dark file on Dare.
That was interesting.
Didn't fucking work. And Keeping It Real.
Keeping it real.
Is much more effective.
Do you think I can sell my song to the company?
Keeping It Real, yeah.
Keeping it real.
And another thing I think is interesting is that it took them literally 16...
More than that.
23. 26. That's my math. 26. 26 years. 1983 to 2009.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my dark file.
That's what's interesting to me is that, like, they're presented with the evidence of it not working, and they're like, now let's just keep going.
Well, because it got to the point where it's like,
because they probably have so much invested in it. They're like,
and they Dare made so much money. Like, schools would spend so much money to get this program, and like they'd use so much of their grant funding to like
get
pay
because
for
it's if you don't have Dare, then you're not.
then you're not anti-drug,
right?
And it almost became like Dare became so like ingrained in like the American school system that it became like the guy said, kicking your mother. Like, it's like almost unheard of to say that Dare was bad.
But here's Emily saying,
it's okay. Like, it's okay to have something that has good intentions and it not work out. Like, that happens all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think if they'd taken, I mean, the premise of it, I think, is great. Having people brought into the community, having new role models, like having other people do that. But if the curriculum is not working,
yeah, exactly. And
you need to adjust it and make changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the end, it's like you're only hurting
the kids.
Mm-hmm. We have to be all about evidence-based data.
Yes, we do. I mean, I think everybody should. Like, the same thing in therapy. Like, I can't just go in there and do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
I have to do things that I know work.
Right.
And I think that's how it should be in education, too. And I know you guys are...
And it is.
Very much
at least for school
that.
counseling is, we have to... I mean, I take some things from Pinterest.
Same.
And Teachers Pay Teachers.
I've been on there before.
It's a great site.
Mm-hmm.
Until I got kicked off for copywriting. And I was selling shit. I was making really good side money. Okay, not really good, but like enough to pay for fast food.
What were you putting on there?
I had a whole zones of regulation bulletin boards combo set that you could buy everything ready to go for the zones of regulation social emotional curriculum.
Did you get sued or anything?
I didn't get sued. They're just like, you're going against copyright. And I'm like, people go against copyright all the time. So I'm just going to wait enough time and then put my stuff back on. Maybe I shouldn't have announced that
tell anybody
on the pod. But
nobody tell teachers pay
nobody
teachers.
tell teachers pay teachers. But yeah, I have some things like I made pre and post tests for different groups.
Yeah.
And like behavior charts, reward, like positive reinforcement charts, stuff like that. Anywho, guys, Emily, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That hit close to home as it's school.
Yeah. Casey's a school counselor, homies.
Yep, that's right. That's why they pay me the big bucks. To do all the...
Yesterday when we do check-in at work, one of the questions is tell me, like, how do you feel? One of my patients was like, that's a great question. And I was like, that's why they pay me the big bucks.
Yep.
To ask you how you feel.
To ask you how you feel. That's it. That's why you get paid. But yeah, I had no idea what you were going to talk about. So that was cool.
Yeah,
that was a fun little surprise.
I'm glad I was able to surprise you.
And I'm glad we finally had a McRib. And I can say that I never have to do that again.
You're not going to eat the rest of that?
No. That's my gift.
I'm probably not going to eat the rest of mine.
You don't want to eat the rest of it?
Well, I have this McFlurry, and then I made dinner before you came here.
Emily, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to be offended.
But it's all right.
All right. So, Emily, on the case of the DARE program.
Case closed, and Emily wrote the best essay.
Emily wins her 5th grade essay. Remember, guys, keep it real. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. I feel like our Twitter isn't that active, so don't worry about the Twitter. The twatter.
And if you want to see a video of Casey and I eating the McRib,
yes,
you can see that on our Instagram.
And you can see my fluffy sweatshirt.
Yes, it's a great sweatshirt.
It's very soft and comfy from Sam's. No, Costco. One of the two. All right, guys. That is it for today. Follow us on Instagram. You can see us on Patreon. And we're coming at you hot next week. And I don't know what I'm talking about yet.
No?
So I haven't picked.
Did you do both of your things already?
Both things.
You had 2 on your Instagram poll. One of them was Body Farms. The other one Past Lives.
No, the other one was Grizzly Bear Attacks.
Oh, you should do Grizzly Man.
No one voted for Grizzly Bears.
You should do Grizzly Man. Do you know about him?
No. Well, I have another idea. Hannah bought me this book called Myth and Mysteries of Ohio. So I might check that out, but I might check out Grizzly Man. You never know, guys, what's going to come up on the Dark Files pod.
You never know.
All right, guys. Peace out. Stay spooky. And don't eat the McRib.
Eat the McRib, don't do drugs.
Hashtag not sponsored by... Yes, eat the McRib and don't do drugs. Okay, bye.
Bye.